is, ladies and gentlemen, Lily Falconer. We are excited to have her on board. We're going to spend about 10-ish minutes getting to know her, maybe a little bit about her book, and really about like the impact she has on small business owners. Lily, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show.
Woo! And my name's Kenna French with vastsolutionsgroup.com. Lily, let's get right to it. Give me a couple minutes. Tell me about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Lillian Falconer. I've been with Vast Solutions now upcoming 2 years almost this year. Super exciting.
Woo!
Doing a little bit of everything. I primarily help with project management, standard operating procedures, and tech stack utilization, all the tech that's out there. And then I've been primarily at the forefront of onboarding new employees. So excited to be on the show and talk a little bit more about that and see how this is beneficial for anyone else.
Yeah, I'm surprised. The reason I actually wanted you on this show and also to, work on that book that you were so nice enough to do is because people don't realize how important onboarding new employees are, because new employees are the lifeblood of companies. And if the employees are happy and they're onboarded correctly, they know what's going on, and then they can better kind of communicate the word of the business to customers. And that's really, really important. So
absolutely. I agree.
So, well, go ahead and give me a little bit of an overview about the book, the name of the book, and let's get going.
Yeah, so the name of the book is Onboarding for Small Businesses with a Big Impact. And so for me, the leading idea behind the book was to instill a feeling of positivity. Most of the time, that first impressions, you don't get a second opportunity to create, right? And so they interviewed with us, and we thought that they would be a great candidate. But in those first 30 to 60 days of a new employee's experience with a new company, if anything, they're interviewing us, and they're more likely to either go above and beyond to do things to excel in their role or not, or feel like maybe this is not the right fit for them. So you definitely want to set them up for success, but also instill a feeling of positivity for the company that they're joining. And so really that was kind of the sentiment that I wanted behind the book to transcend.
Woo, you sound like a smart lady right off the bat. So tell me, why you? Why are you a specialist? Why do you have an expertise in that role, by the way?
Not just with Vast, but with other companies. I've actually been primarily at the helm of onboarding, whether it is a new employee and or a client, for the last 20 years. So in previous opportunities that I've had to work with other companies, I've been some kind of an onboarding liaison, either to a new customer onboarding for a product and or to a new employee. I've also have extensive experience with training staff, whether they are new hires or continuing education, because you should always be continuing to educate your staff. And so I think that all in all is what makes me qualified to write about this and speak on it and have a good feeling about it. So
interesting. You've used the term experience. I think that's really important, both for onboarding new employees, but also onboarding clients. Let's talk about onboarding clients. Tell me about the importance of the experience, the client experience. Expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, so same thing. I think at the end of the day, it's about the feeling that they get, and it needs to be one of positive and confidence. They need to feel confident in your ability and capability to deliver on whether or not you understand the product and the flow, but also the confidence in that the support staff can also meet the needs of what the sales agent promised them. And so being the liaison between the salesperson who wants to promise the world because they want to close the sale, but the reality of compliance and operations sometimes is a difficult one to marry the two, because I understand that as a sales representative, you kind of want to just get the wow and get the yes. And there are some constraints that as a salesperson, you're not the one that's responsible for breaking the bad news of what they can and can't do. That's really ops. So to be the person in the middle that kind of marries the two worlds of like, that's great. I know that Kenner explained that is a possibility, but unfortunately, after researching your particular situation, I don't think that compliance-wise can meet that. Being the middle person between the two and keeping that relationship going, I think is crucial. So I think one, you need to set up the expectations to be in alignment with the transition out of the salesperson and into the hands of operations is crucial, but also being available, responding to emails and texts quickly so that they understand they have someone in their corner at all times, and also speaking with confidence. And so even when you don't know, saying, I don't quite know the answer to that, but I'll get you an answer, and getting them the answer in a timely manner. I think, again, all those things will instill a feeling of confidence in a long-term relationship. And then down the road, when you do make a mistake, then they're most likely to forgive you for that because they have that foundation of confidence and trust in that overall. If that onboarding goes wrong and you waver in that foundation, they're most likely to exit at the first mistake, or even the first sign of a mistake they might think you made, even though you didn't make it. You're most likely to lose a client a lot quicker.
So yeah, I totally get that. Give if you can a case example where an onboarding, not maybe of your situation, but onboarding at another firm has gone south and really meaning a new employee or a new client has really blown up the relationship. Do you have any good examples?
Yeah, so a really good example, and I think a generic example one could be of goods and services, right? So whenever you're selling a product of goods and services, there's limitations to how far that product can go. Let's just say, as an example of a website building. So when you sell the product of we're going to build your website, we can do X, Y, Z. And the salesperson on the front end is, yeah, our team can do that. Yeah, our team can deliver on that. Yeah, our team can write a FOMO pop up in the corner of the last time a product was purchased. Or yeah, our team can write a link to chat for customer support 24 hours a day. That all can be done. Then they get to the liaison, and on the liaison part, it's like, well, you signed up, let's say you have 3 plans. Hey, you signed up for basic, pro, and enterprise. Well, unfortunately, because of cost and because of budget, you decided to go with a pro plan, that those features are part of the enterprise plan. Oh, well, I didn't know that. That's something how it can quickly go wrong, because not navigating that correctly can quickly deteriorate their trust in that, well, I was told I would get XYZ. Well, you were, had you upgraded, but you didn't. So maybe an opportunity would be to throw them a freebie to see, hey, we're not in the business of making money, we're in the business of delivering, but also still understanding that there's a budget that you decided to keep, and this is the product that our team is worth, and you didn't upgrade. So yeah, an example would be that in that situation, we lost the client. They didn't feel that they needed to, that it was worth to paying for those additional features, and it was already a part of it. Funny enough, in that situation, the client ended up coming back 6 months later because they realized that that was standard practice in the business of building websites. And they ended up coming back and saying, okay, it wasn't you that's in the world of this business. Those are upgrades. Those are charges that just come with an additional package. And we delivered on it. So lost the client on the front end, but maybe it worked out because, we let them go and they came back understanding that was standard. So.
And then the relationship's probably even stronger now because they know how valuable you are in the end. It sounds like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So we have a few more minutes. So what about technology? I know you're a big advocate of using technology, automation. What are your thoughts about that? Maybe you could explain to the audience some of your strategies as it relates to onboarding either employees or new clients.
Well, when onboarding employees and clients on the technology front, the primary purpose is education. You have to ensure that they understand its purpose and how to use it. If you can't achieve those 2 things on an onboard, then it's going to not be a success. So understanding the tech's limitations and having expectations in alignment with what can it deliver is one as a user, but also on onboarding a new client or an employee, you have to make sure that they know how to use the product. Because otherwise, it's all going to be, I don't know, or it can't do that. And it's not that it can't do that, it's just you don't understand the way it works. And yes, I'm a firm believer in tech stack automation. I think that with the right tech stack and automation, you can eliminate roles. And I'm not trying to downsize a company's fleet, but it's, having purpose behind the cost of your employer's salaries and how many you have on staff is important. And if you can automate things, that's technically one less person, and that budget can go towards something else. And then that budget, if you close a sale because you put more money into your SEO for syndication or SEO for trending or speaking engagements, that brings in more, which in the end, it's more fruitful to the staff you do have, as opposed to being thin on staff with everybody touching everything, and then that automation not being there could eventually maybe cost you more money. So that's why I think tech stacking is important, and that's why I also think that making sure that your staff understands how to utilize the programs is also important.
Yeah, I believe in technology, obviously. I mean, I don't like downsizing per se, but I think that if staff's using technology to the utmost, I think everyone ends up, who knows, maybe it ends up being a passive income play for everyone. So I like technology a lot.
Well, and it can also be not that you downsize, but that your staff is spread too thin, and you've just automated processes that make them, feel like, okay, this is doable and achievable, because then you might have a staff member who's at their wit's end with their capacity and what's on their plate. And if you automate this, then you keep an employee because you just made their workload light. So it can work definitely in the opposite direction.
Ooh, nice. That's a really good point. I'm glad you mentioned that. Our viewers and listeners will like that. So, what's one thing in close? Let's land this plane. What's one thing that really maybe we haven't discussed that an entrepreneur would really walk away from this conversation and say, "Wow, that made a lot of sense." What did we miss?
I think the one thing to onboarding successfully is to asking both either your client or your employee, how do you learn and what do you expect out of the next 30 to 60 days? Because I think it's important to understand how they receive information and retain information and to lay the groundwork for the expectation of how they see, both as a client and an employee, the next 30 or 60 days going so that you can align and right there and then reset it. Hey, sorry, that's actually not something that we're going to deliver on. You're not going to get, a 30% profit return in the next 30 days from our services. That's important. And also, or yes, we can deliver on that. And then you have a clear plan to give to your staff, whoever's onboarding that person, to say, this is what they're asking. And if we can hit those metrics, we're going to have a really happy client.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand. And by the way, in closing, how does someone email you?
Yeah, they can email us. You can either go to our website and go to info@vastsolutionsgroup.com and submit an inquiry there, and that will go to our sales team to pick it up. And depending on what services you're interested in, one of our team members will reach out to you to discuss.
Nice. It's been a pleasure. Short but sweet. Thank you very much, Lily.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
Nice.